Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, Twitch chat, and welcome back to Let Us Play. Hope everyone's having a nice day. Hope everyone had a good weekend. It was cold. It was cold here in New York City this weekend. I barely left the building, and I think that was a wise choice. But maybe we're actually finally supposed to have snow tomorrow. We have not had 1 inch of snow in Central Park in over 700 days, and it's kind of getting ridiculous. But yeah, hope everyone's doing well, and good to see you, Gail. I actually was expecting that you'd be out on the slopes today with the day off. It was cold everywhere. Well, yeah, but it was cold here. That's all I have knowledge of. You've had so much snow that the resort is closed twice. Ouch. I'm assuming that's sarcasm, but I'm not sure. Anyway, before we get started, want to give some thank you to some followers. Thank you, Breedy Bard, for the follow, as well as King Yenzela, soon to be wife of P. Tony. Awesome people. You get President's Day off, but not MLK. I thought being in accounting, you'd get all bank holidays off, but what do I know? Logan Canyon was closed due to an avalanche. Well, that's good because Logan Canyon's not really the main thoroughfare to get to Logan, fortunately. That's Sardine Canyon. Well, I know you don't work for a bank, but like a lot of your work involves banks. Anyway, one last follower, Frater Anselmus, also known as Brother Anselm. Thank you for the follows, everyone. So let's go ahead and dive back into some Kingdom Hearts Re-Chain of Memories. You only had a short shift? Well, there you go. Okay, where were we? Okay, we're headed to here, I guess. So we need to head this way first. And now my VOD is muted. Kingdom Hearts per my last email memories. Hello, Bob. As per my last email request, it would be polite if you could Nope. That was adjusting volume levels. To whom it may concern, Xehanort has been doing bad stuff and needs to be stopped. And worse yet, he's doing it on company time. I did not put the proper TPS on my Anselm report. Ow. These plants are very rude. They have very high cost cards. They're just obnoxious. So I seem to recall that we were here in Halloween Town. And like the Heartless showed up and it was like, everyone's panicking. I don't really remember. Sora's probably already forgotten. Does anyone do anything fun this weekend? Redoing your bathrooms. It is now yellow and has a bidet. Okay. What kind of yellow are we talking about, Gale? Like electric yellow, pale yellow, pastel.
Yeah.
Slept a lot. That's a good thing. I believe the name of that skull you've printed, Sub-Zero, is I have no tongue, but I must scream. Marigold. Okay, that's a nice color. That's a good yellow. You don't get to card break me, I get to card break you. No, they knocked out my hype potion. Those jerks. Actual title is Desert's Kiss. Oh, that's because... Oh, I thought you were talking about the pink color there for a moment, Sub-Zero. I mean, maybe it's a tarantula then. Tarantulas, some tarantulas hang out in deserts, don't they? But I could also see a marigold pink color being called a Desert's Kiss. Bad Heartless. I do like that I have two blitzes lined up right there in the deck. Hey, Jimothy Pepper. Welcome to the channel. The fact that priests can still be gamers gives you some encouragement for your future discernment. Oh, more than priests can be gamers. I know so many priests who are. Just like even casually, but you know, here we are. We can even use it to evangelize. This game is the epitome of I'm attacking the darkness. You're now imagining a priest in a COD lobby? It's probably happened. And yeah, it would never happen for my channel, but I can see it happening. A guy I went to seminary with, Father Cassidy Stinson of Richmond, Virginia, once during the pandemic did some streaming of his own just for fun, and like the first thing he streamed was the new Doom game. Jeffries plays Silent Hill on PS2. Well, problem is I don't have a PS2, but also the other problem is I would be so scared. I don't do well with horror, but I do love. I have fond memories of playing Silent Hill 3 with a friend in college. I think it's pretty safe to call me a geek. I am playing Kingdom Hearts 3 Chain of Memories, unironically. Nope. Jerk. That plant just stole my lunch money. Twice. Yeah, he has the handle the Happy Priest online. Don't really know what he's up to these days. I wonder if he's become pastor yet. I just saw on Facebook another guy who I went to seminary with the same year, ordained the same year, who had just been named pastor. Okay, I think that's this room cleared out. Okay, 6 to 7 and the key card, of course. Oh, that's awesome. I could see him doing that. He always had a good sort of teacher way. What am I trying to say? He was always a natural teacher. So I'm glad to hear he has a video that was helpful to you. I'll have to check it out sometime. There you are, Sally. I thought I'd find you here. Oh, right, we're looking for Sally. Who are you? Who are your friends? They're interested in true memories. You have the potion, don't you? Well, yes. Could you give it back? I guess so, if you insist. But I'm afraid. All the doctor did was smell it and the Heartless appeared. What if someone drinks it? Are you kidding? What could be more exciting? I'm worried, Jack. Isn't there another option? Any ideas, Jack? I can't think of a thing. I can. Give it here. Oh no, the potion. Oogie, you again. Jack, where are your manners? I'm just helping you put this potion to good use. You should thank me. Well, just one sniff and the Heartless appeared. What would happen if I chugged the whole thing? That would be scary. Poor Jack, you can't hold a candle to Oogie Boogie. Time for Halloween Town to taste pain and despair beyond any nightmare. That escalated quickly. Pain and despair, Oogie, you monster! Come on, Jack, we've got to go after him. Okay, where do I go with the Key of Truth? Okay, back here. It's back to the Moogle room and across. I'd forgotten that Oogie's appearance in this game, it really is like one of the most menacing appearances of Oogie, because normally he's kind of a bit of a bumbling fool of a villain. But here he's like, he's not sending in minions, he's not got weird schemes. He's just like, cool, I'm gonna take this and cause pain and despair. Bye! I want to use the bottomless darkness, but it's bad for streaming. Don't think I've done a calm bounty in this world yet. You know, what's funny to me is with the instrumental version of This Is Halloween, YouTube usually flags as like the French version for some reason. So I learned Gifted Miracle. So, summon card, or Bambi Blizzard item. I don't have a Bambi. But I can do Summon Magic Jack here. Okay. We might try that out in the boss fight. Take out the plants. Take out the plants. Need to do some weeding.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah, we can do with some more card points. What is our strongest attacker with good recovery? Honestly, it's either Wishing Star or Pumpkinhead, but we can throw... It's gonna throw off some of those slights, but oh well. 8. I don't think I have anything that's just gonna be like an 8. Yeah. I want to take a look at the magic situation. See, let's do that. Take that out. Dang, that's too much. But we can put in a king premium Keyblade card. Rotada! It's Rotada time. After I finish messing around with the deck. No, I want this card. No! Dang it, lost that card. The Gospel is Jesus talking about don't put, you know, get new wineskins for new wine. If you're repairing cloth, don't repair old cloth with new cloth, because then when you wash it, it's going to tear away and ruin everything again. And besides being just useful advice, what Christ is doing is inviting us to think creatively about our gifts and how we can proclaim the gospel. There are many interpretations, of course, but that's kind of the way I went with it. Like, you know, I even didn't hit it in the middle of a fight or a cutscene this time. It's true, you didn't. But I was still distracted. But yeah, just kind of thinking creatively of how we promote, peace, justice, evangelizing. That's fair. It is one of those weird bits. I think in the context in particular, it comes in that Christ is speaking prophetically, but he's not being like any of the other prophets they've seen lately because he's not fasting and the others aren't, and his followers aren't fasting. So what is this? Why are they, why do they get to be special? And Christ is, in many ways, pointing out himself as the new wine and the new cloth, as not something to replace God's covenant, but certainly a new experience of God's presence. Yeah, Dingo's fat kidneys. There's a plant active. I hate just throwing away cards like that. And at least you know how not to patch the cloak. Yeah, there's... Scripture has some actual practical advice sometimes. Oh, there are so many Heartless in this room. Oh, we can do the thing. So it was a summon, a magic, and a jack for a gift of miracle. What does this do? It's a full recover. That's actually really handy to know with the boss coming up, and just in general, because that would be super useful later in the game. Shadows, quit crawling the, well, you know, shadows. Let me fight you. And Donald still doesn't heal you. Well, no. He does sometimes. But you don't rely on Donald cards to heal you. Atlantis would make a good Kingdom Hearts world? Yeah. Except that movie kind of honks. That's my unpopular opinion. Like, they don't even get to Atlantis until, like, the last 20 minutes of the movie. And I think the animation's really ugly.
It's over. It's over. Freeze.
I think you can do a Princess and the Frog one pretty easily. Yeah, that's true. I didn't say other Kingdom Hearts worlds were good, but I'll say that I'd rather watch Frozen or Big Hero 6 than Atlantis again. I think it could make a really good world. It's not a very good movie.
Courage! Heal! Yeah!
Oh yeah, there's a lot of nostalgia goggles. Turns out, lots of things just have nostalgia goggles on them.
Yeah, it's over. Freeze.
I think an Emperor's New Groove could be a really fun one. Treasure Planet would be way up there for me, and I admit I'm looking at that with nostalgia goggles, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
good miss, Sora. Good miss.
It's over. Yeah. Yeah. Freeze. Courage.
More card points. That just said something and I didn't read what it says. I feel like that had useful information, but we live here now.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I think it said you had the maximum of something, but again, I didn't actually quite catch it. That loud button pressing was too quickly. You don't need useful information, or plot, or context. Just big numbers and unga bunga. I will unga bunga these numbers.
Yeah.
That's why you play Green Magic. Questing Beast go burr.
Yeah. It's over.
Wait, that healed them. Why did that heal them? That's not fair. These are the bad plants that steal my lunch money.
Yeah, yeah. Ha.
Nothing like a 1.2 million trample creature. I once, using a card that doubles X amount of times, I once got something like a 60,000 power creature. But my miracle is granted, not its.
Back off. Yeah. Yes. It's over.
Plus, I don't think that would be a miracle approved by the Vatican. I don't think it would hold up in the canonization process. Who am I playing against? Well, I think if I'm choosing church or historical figures, they're probably not going to know how to play, so I'm going to win pretty easily. Let's have Napoleon with like a blue, white, black soldier tokens deck. What are the like Borgia Popes with the Queen Marchesa deck? I think that'd be entertaining. I'll probably just rock my Dinos deck or my Clerics deck. Oh, let's go with Plato. And Plato will have a blue-white do-nothing deck.
It's over. Freeze.
Gale says, I love dirtling. Yeah, Plato will just have a deck that he could wax eloquent about, but it doesn't actually do anything. And then out of nowhere would win. I feel like for a lot of saints and church leaders, you could probably go with like a mono white Pillow Forge or Group Hug style deck. Oops. All right, boss time. I tap a whole bunch of cards that do little. Sure. 30 green. Oh, why did that exit out? 30 green points. My goodness. Well, a couple of those. Probably one of those. Do I have a 3 green? No, I'm going to have to overshoot. That's unfortunate. Oh well. So I was trying to think what worlds are even left. If there was an MTG set deco, Saints deck Who would you include it, and what would they do? Ooh, that's a tough question. Oogie, hand it over the potion. That was weird. I don't know what my voice did. You fools, don't you know when to quit? Say, all this running around makes me thirsty. Oogie, no! Yeah! they literally did the Oogie, no! Oogie, yes! Oh no. Ah, lip smacking good. Ah, what's this? What? Something's wrong. Something deep inside. Something scary. Oogie, what's going on? No, get back. Stay away from me. And now everything is fine. Oh, I don't have any zeros equipped for this fight. I'm sure this will be fine. Okay, that was pretty good.
Come on, baby. Like the boogie gift I picked out for you.
Power! Yeah!
Come on, baby.
Other than he's generally annoying, why are we beating up the gambling addict Bugsack? Because he stole a potion. And it's attracting the Heartless.
Come on, baby.
Dang it.
Come on, baby.
Didn't get the card.
Come on, baby.
There!
Also because plot.
Party crashes. Come on, baby. Come on, baby.
Dang it.
Come on, baby. Come on, baby.
There we go. That's actually pretty easy. I didn't even have to use the Jack full recover thing. Now I was thinking, what worlds are left? I know Neverland, because we were given 5 cards at the beginning. Now we're out of those. You're expecting a phase 2? No. It's too early in the game for that. Only organization members have a phase 2. He drank nearly all of my precious potion. There are only a few drops left. Sora, why don't you ask the doc if you can drink the rest? No, I'd better not. What? Don't you want it? Too bad. It would have been a great experiment. Now, Doctor, don't you want to find out about your true memories? Of course, now more than ever. But there's this ugly guy. I don't know where I got the word ugly. Axel. I promised him I'd find the truth on my own. Why'd you make that promise? I just don't understand. I inhaled this potion, Heartless appeared. And when Boogie drank it, he was overcome with fear. What could it mean? It means the potion was a failure.
No, I can't be wrong. Boogie must have found his true memories. True memories must unbalance the heart and cause unpredictable changes within.
Then what about me? What happens when my true memories awake?
Perhaps something even more terrifying. But this is all just a hypothesis. I can't be sure without further research.
What's wrong, Sora? Does the doctor's theory scare you? Well, yeah, a little. That's good to hear. What? Fear and doubt are signs of a strong heart. Are they? They push your heart, strike out in new directions, take chances. Without them, the zest for life might fade. As would your taste for fear. And believe me, that would really ruin my fun. Thanks, Jack. I'll remember that. Then good luck, gentlemen. May you always enjoy being frightened. No. Please attack something else, Sora.
Yeah.
Oh, there's like no rewards in this room. That's disappointing.
Yeah.
Got barely any Moogle points. Interesting perspective on fear and doubt. Yeah, I'm not so sure about the line. It's a sign of a good heart or a strong heart. I think the sign of a strong heart would be comfortably grappling with fear and doubt, not necessarily the presence of. Because a weak heart can have fear and doubt. That's easy. Oh, is this the Larxene boss fight?
I bet you want was actually.
Too clever. I'm Larxene. So, are you enjoying your stay at the castle? I bet it's nice to peel away all the worthless memories and awaken the true memories that lie deep in your heart.
True memories.
Although, it seems that you're still forgetting the most important thing here. When that poor girl hears that you've forgotten her name, why, it'll break her heart.
Poor girl. Do you know her?
Oh, the manipulation
Is
is
she-
strong with this one.
Here?
Yes, she is. You see, the bad guys are holding her captive, somewhere deep inside the castle. And you obviously are the hero, so you have to go save her. Although,
Ah!
Get dunked on, Sora.
I'm a bad guy, so you have to go through me.
Sora! What's that? Is that thing mine?
What a shame! You've been wearing it all this time and forgot? No, that's not possible. The memory has to be engraved somewhere deep inside your heart. Sora,
It is helpful
you
when the bad
think
guys point
carefully
themselves out,
now.
especially when they have a
What,
uniform.
oh, what could it be? And who gave it to you?
Nah. Meh.
Sora, you're getting it now. Release the memory from within your heart.
Nominate.
Well,
Spoilers,
it's
Michael
about
Mouse has that
time.
uniform. Did I stutter?
That's right. Nominate. Yes, she's the one that gave you that tacky little good luck charm. Not that you even bothered to remember. No surprise, seeing as you also couldn't remember her name. Talk about heartless. I can't believe you. It'd serve you right if I decided to smash this piece of junk.
Let it go!
Nah, Sora's very good at doing exactly what
Nominate
bad
gave
guys
me
tell him
this.
to do.
It's very important to me.
Is it? You couldn't remember who
Oh,
Naminé was.
it's
You don't remember where it
important to
came
you.
from. Spoiler alert, it wasn't from Naminé.
10 seconds ago, you didn't even know what it was.
She's right. Go deeper into the dreams. No, that'll come in like 4 games.
Lightning!
Ow.
Back off!
Vanish!
Goofy!
There is so much to keep track of.
Lightning! Vanish! Lightning!
Ow, ow, ow.
Lightning!
Heal!
Vanish! Lightning!
It's over!
I feel so
Quickly do that while she's reloading.
Lightning!
Yeah!
Sorry, chat, I cannot read.
You're done!
Yeah!
Shoot, shoot, shoot. Get out of there, Sora. Dang it. Ah, that combo just... I had to have something to break it, and I couldn't. Yeah, we're going to need to edit a deck. But if Naminé is Kyrie's nobody, then anything Kyrie gave him also came from Naminé, kind of. Yeah, but shut up. Stunlock, that's what illiteracy gets you. Hey now, be nice. Going to equip deck 3. Yeah, I'm setting up my zeros. Set up a Sunzen Zukzen, however you say it. I don't want too many zeros. I don't even have that many zeros. Because when it comes to Keyblades, like, those are my 2 zeros. I have a 0 cure. That's actually kind of spicy. Yeah, those are my 3 zeros. That is, concerning. I'm sure it'll be fine. Set up a couple of those. Let's set up a Blitz. Blitz is a very useful one. Recovery B. I want some recovery A's. Is that enough? I'm gonna take that out. I'm gonna put this in. Okay, so that's a couple of blitzes. Let's actually take that out for now. See, I don't have any summons set up yet. Let's put in a second cure as well. Because it would be useful to have that on hand. Simba is a good summon to have on hand. Hey, Kevin Lee C has converted from a Prime to a Tier 1 sub. Thank you for the resub. I know this is thrilling and exciting gameplay, Twitch chat. This is truly what you subbed for. So I'm like 100 points. Anything higher pointed would just be best, I think. I still have like 50 points. That's actually pretty good. Let's take a look at these actually. This could be useful. Always nullifies. A card. Because that's basically another 0. So what do we take out? Probably just like that. And we'll just throw in this to round out the points. Okay, let's try this again. I thought I was actually doing pretty well at first, but then I got dumpstered. Oh shoot, that's just a strike rate. I need to. That's not a Sansan Suki or play it. The power of zeros right there. Ow, 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 ow. I'm running low on health. Shoot, shoot, shoot.
Lightning. Heal. Vanish. Lightning.
Oh, shoot. Dingo's fed kidneys.
I feel so bad. Lightning. Vanish. Heal.
Didn't mean to do that, but that worked out.
Lightning. Lightning. Lightning.
I keep trying to get her to do that
Lightning.
same combo she did last time on me, but it's just not showing up.
You're done.
Shoot, of course, as soon as I don't have any zeros.
Lightning. You're getting on my nerves. Heal.
Okay, there we go. Whew. That was close.
You're getting on my nerves. I feel so bad.
It's over.
Lightning.
It's over.
Okay, we almost got this.
No escape.
Yes! This game is... I will give this game this, like, in terms of, like, in the Kingdom Hearts universe, this is one of the most strategic ones. And you really do have to keep a track of a lot. And my picture-in-picture is covering some of what you have to see. Thunder. Whew. And it really ramps up with the human bosses.
You're not as bad as I thought. You really are a hero. A heartless hero.
Who asked you?
Oh, does it hurt because it's the truth? You are just a baby. And if you're gonna be a baby, then here you go. I created another card from your memories, you know. Be a good boy and say thanks. Ta-ta.
Wait, Larxene!
Gee, I wonder if she was being manipulative.
Where are you? Don't you dare hide from me! Show yourself!
Sora, calm down. She's not coming back.
Sora?
I hate this. Why'd I need someone like that to bring back Naminé's memory?
Oh, okay, here we go. Here's the last worlds. So yeah, I remembered Hollow Bastion being one. I forgot that Atlantica and 100 Acre Woods were levels.
Whew.
100 Acre
Throwing
Woods
that
is
battle wore me
fight free. It's like
out.
one
Really?
one
It
room.
looked to me like you just plain lost.
How dare you! You don't appreciate the nuances of
An ungainly effort.
Vexen.
How could you be humbled by someone of such limited significance? You shame the organization.
How can we help you, Vexen? It's not very often we see you topside.
I came to lend you a hand. You obviously believe this Sora has much potential, but I remain unconvinced he is truly worth such coddling. I think an experiment would show if he really is of any value to us.
Well, here we go again. It's just an excuse, so you can carry out your little experiments, that's all.
I'm a
It usually is.
scientist. Experiments are what I do. Yes.
Whatever. You can do what you want. But you know, I think testing Sora is just a cover for testing your valet.
Valet? He's the product of pure research.
What he actually is a toy.
You should just learn to be quiet.
Anyway, since you came
Something
all
tells
this
me there's
way,
not all
you're gonna need this.
feeling good in the
A humble gift to my elder.
organization.
I hope you use it to put on a very good show for us.
Gee, I wonder who has boots like that and a grass skirt.
Not so fast!
We don't have time! They've got Naminé! We gotta rescue her!
Who's Naminé?
Whew. Sora sure does seem like he's upset.
You be too. He just remembered a friend, but found out she's in trouble.
Good point. I guess if we heard that the king was in danger, we would be pretty upset about that too.
So I actually liked this deck that we wound up making. I think I want maybe a little more magic or item recovery. Oh wow, and we didn't even wind up using the Caged Parasite at all. There, now we can do Fyra, Blizzaga. We have 2 high potions. At some point, I might go in and clean up the decks off screen or off stream. Atlantica, Neverland, Hollow Bastion, 100 Acre Wood. One of these things is not like the other. Let's do them in... We're going to do them mostly in order, because it'll be Atlantica, Neverland, and then it'll want us to go to Hollow Bastion, but we'll do 100 Acre Wood before that. Get ready for not swimming.
Gosh, this looks like the bottom of the sea.
It sure does, so how come we can breathe?
Beats me. Maybe someone cast a spell on us?
It's just like breathing air. But it's not. See? Someone's swimming this way. If anyone asks, you didn't see me. What? That's not the first thing you say to someone. Sorry, I don't have time to explain. Just promise you won't tell.
Hey, what's that sparkling thingy you got there?
Oh, nothing. Nothing at all. Remember, you didn't see me. Well, that was weird. Well, it looked like she was in a hurry. She was hiding something. No! No! Master Detective Sora right here. I wonder what it was. Bum, bum, bum. Atlantica, except we removed the swimming because I guess it just didn't exist in the Game Boy version, and so they probably just didn't try to make it happen in the PS2 one, and it wouldn't really work with the room design. Did we do Rotata? We did already do Rotata. But we can always do more Rotata. The gospel was about Jesus saying, you know, don't put new wine in old wineskins, so use a new scrap of cloth to sew up an old garment. You know, I use that to say, you know, sometimes proclaiming the gospel or proclaiming peace in our world, you know, in reference to Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Invites us to be creative and new with what we're doing. You met Jodie Foster once. What joke? Oh, hey, we finally got a key to rewards. We can go to the treasure room for once. Oh, I know one change to the deck I want to make at some point is set episode can be Sanzatsuken at first instead of I need another 9 basically is what I'm saying. Because right now it's strike grade. No, leave me alone, Dark Ball. Nope, nope, nope. I think this is one of the tougher encounters you can get in this world.
It's over. Yeah.
Okay. So Sub-Zero says, apparently she did the role of Ariel and didn't even tell her family. It was a throwaway role for a paycheck, and Disney didn't really promote it at all beforehand. This being the Disney Dark Age and all. Fair enough. Then one day she got a panic call from Disney exec. Ma'am, we need you on a press junket yesterday. They're your next 6 months. Oh, there you go. That would be a bit of a surprise. Yeah, I was watching another dude's stream, and he had a thing where certain people could have a text-to-speech. How would you all feel about having that here for the mods? Is that something you'd like? Is that something you think would enhance the experience? Make it worse?
Heal.
Oh, you got your Jodies mixed up still. You were talking about the right Jodie. I can't speak, apparently.
Yeah. Heal.
White Room. Sure, everyone listens to the White Album. No, that's a mine. Why does the urchin explode?
Yeah.
Who thought exploding urchins were a good idea?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm guessing they had smoothed out the press circuit by that point. It's kind of wild to think about Disney not being on its A game when it comes to like a press circuit sort of thing.
Yeah.
They had not at all. It was an organizational disaster. Oof.
Yeah. Yeah. It's over. Goofy. Yeah.
Ah, another one of these big guys.
Heal. Yeah.
Yay, more levels. Next time I'll get health.
Yeah.
I am running a little low on that in some of these fights. Okay, information. You've reached the limit on the map cards you can carry. You must delete some cards in order to obtain more. Oh, okay. So it's just map cards. I don't care. What more is you looking for, chat? What more is you looking for? Sure, we'll do a premium room. Because now we've learned that premium is cheaper, but also means that it doesn't get reloaded, except high potions do reload them.
It's over. Yeah, it's over.
Blitz is such a useful ability.
Fire! Freeze! Courage! There! This is it! Yeah! Ha!
Well, at least the strike rate hit on the way back.
It's over! Yeah! Ha! It's over.
Oh no, that's not enough for a blitz.
Heal. Yeah. Yeah.
Where did you come from, big friend?
It's over.
Wait, another one?
Yeah. Heal.
So, shortly after I was ordained, I went to Disney World just kind of as like a vacation for myself. Just solo. It was fun. Had a blast. But I remember joking at the time saying, oh, I should try and get a picture with every of the 7 Princesses of Light. Well, of course you can't because Kyrie's not going to be there at a meet and greet, but the other 6 princesses were. But lo and behold, one day I actually saw a woman walking around the park dressed up like Kyrie from Kingdom Hearts 3. I was like, oh my goodness, I could have done it. Since you was talking about meet and greets of various Disney folk, just made me think of that.
Yeah, it's over. It's over. It's over. Yeah, it's over. It's over. Colonel. Heal. Yeah. Fire. Freeze. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, what do I want to make premium? Probably a 0, actually, just because the zeros can be so expensive. In your deck points. Okay, so I'm guessing that's the treasure room. So why don't we... We're gonna have to move through this door anyway, at some point. No, attack the Heartless Sora. Keeps auto-targeting the box, my goodness. Sora, you are a sweet summer child.
Yeah.
One thing I don't like about this game's design is, for sure, is the experience gems. Because an enemy can drop them and then you'll wind up on the other side of the battlefield, stuck in a combo. False bounty, that sounds like a problem. Yes, Sweet Summer Child is similar to Bless Their Heart. Whereas some might say in Spanish, ay bendito.
It's over. Freeze. Power. Heal. Goofy. Royal.
That was a good sliding dash hit.
Funnel. Fire.
Quit breaking my potions.
Heal.
That card said screwdriver, but that's funny. It didn't look like orange juice and vodka.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Free father joke, yep. Dear auto-targeting. You sure exist. Love, Father Evan.
It's over. Yeah. Yeah. Heal.
Okay, I know I said I was going to get help, but there's a slate of I cannot talk today. Slate available. Stop. I don't have stop. Maybe I should go find stop. Okay, so that's the treasure room, which tells me that probably have to go back to this room to get to the storeroom. So let's do the treasure room. After we defeat this set of jellyfish.
It's over. Yeah. Yeah. It's over. Yeah. It's over.
See, the other problem is I don't really want to use Donald down here because he might cast Thunder, and some of these things are in fact healed by Thunder.
It's over. Yeah.
So I have to get up to 30. Oh. Let's use one of those. One of those.
Yeah.
How many movement points am I at? 438. Not quite enough to merit a visit to the Moogle shop, I think. Maybe next world. The Moogle cards are expensive. And I know you can melt down old cards for points, but I'm always just like, oh, but what if I want that card later to build up for a slate? And too good to lose. Sora learns Quake. Gravity Simba Magic. I swear before the final boss I'm gonna have to like review all the slates I have and don't have and set them up. You almost never got time or gravity cards. Yeah, I feel like certain magic cards are especially rare.
It's over.
Plus, they're hard to remember how to set them up, because, like, at least the attacked ones, you can just set up in advance in order in your deck. Or just have it set up so it's like, okay, I can just go through my attacks. But if you're mixing and matching magic and summons and things can get complicated. Seriously? We go through most of the game getting no keys to the rewards. And now in Atlantica we've already gotten 2. And there's only 1 per world, so I guess we'll hang on to it for... Can you hang on to it? I think the gold cards are only for the particular world, actually. Come to think of it. I don't think there's a second treasure room in Atlantica. I don't know, we may be learning a lot about Atlantica together, Twitch chat. Yeah, you really only use those slates, as you say. Purpose built, but... And they have their place, like, that's the thing, the slates can be very powerful. Emphasis on can be. Some of them are real duds. You believe you obtain reward scores between... I could see that, but I could also see it because it's a gold card, so we'll find out. Probably not today, but... and not next week either, because I won't be streaming next week because I'm on vacation.
It's over. Heal. Yeah. 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 It's over. Yeah. It's over. Yeah.
Not what I was aiming for. I was aiming for the heal, but okay.
Yeah, it's over. Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, that premium card evaporated before I could get to it. That is unfortunate. I'm actually more annoyed that the XP there evaporated. False bounty. I don't want a false bounty. I want a real bounty. Two or higher. Well, let's check out what this false bounty is. Even though I just said I don't want it. Oh, okay. We have... I have a feeling at least one of these treasure chests is a fight, if not all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's over.
I'm finding Blitz very useful for crowd control. Because it has just enough AoE.
Yeah. It's over. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And homing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Homing helps a lot too. Like I said, it's crowd control.
Yeah. Yeah. It's over. Donald.
Quick, someone flip it. Donald healed me twice.
Fire. Freeze.
Haha.
Yeah.
You thought it was treasure, but it was me, Dio, all along.
Yeah. 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 It's over. Yeah. It's over. Fire. Freeze. Power.
How many breads have I eaten? Like today? Or in general? Like in all my life? How many breads are you on, my dude? Sora learns Shock Impact. Simba, attack, attack. Did that trigger stop? Oh, interesting.
Back off!
Okay, that's pretty useful.
It's over. Funnel.
Good try, Donald. We'll try again next year. Like, I'm still not sure entirely what you mean by how many breads have I eaten, Gale. If in my entire life, I'm going to say at least 12. This is useful down here for making, whatchamacallit attacks. Blitzes. Also, just a couple more attack cards is helpful. You refuse to elaborate. How many breads have you eaten, then? So many, I forgot. See? I mean, you probably can't even answer how many breads you've made. Why is there a Jack in the Box? Oh, great. The Jack in the Box confused me. It paid me, but it confused me. Finish this fight for me, Goofy. No. Over here, Goofy. Oh, there's more of them.
Fire! It's over. Back off.
Ah.
Heal. Funnel. Fire.
Jerks. Okay, no, it went through.
It's over.
You made too many rolls yesterday? No such thing. Your problem is that you don't have enough people to eat the rolls.
Crab Claw.
What are Crab Claw's stats? Recovery Star. Ooh. You meant to do a 3/4 recipe and you did 1.5 instead. You went the wrong direction, my dude. Now you have too many. Again, the problem is not the number of rolls, it's the lack of people to devour them.
Oh, woe is me.
Is something wrong?
Someone stole the king's magic trident. Atlantica is defenseless. And to top it off, Princess Ariel has disappeared. King Triton's worried sick, he won't leave his chambers.
Ariel, she disappeared?
Ariel's friend Flounder would know where she is, but now he's gone too.
Wait a sec, did we just see Ariel?
Yeah, but she didn't look real happy to see us. Hey, wasn't she carrying something when we saw her?
You don't think that was the trident? No, not at all. You forgot to, you meant to make hot dog buns but forgot during the shaping and made rolls instead. That's a problem. You know, maybe it was. Whack. But that means Ariel stole it. There must be some explanation.
Ariel, where did you swim off to this time?
I know this isn't Sebastian's voice, but I'm not going to attempt to do it in a Sebastian voice, so I'm just giving him a silly voice instead.
If anything happens to you, the king will think it's all my fault. He told me to keep an eye on her, and now this. What if she ran away because of something I said? King Triton will banish me forever.
He'll pop his shell if we tell him Ariel took the trident.
Guess we'll have to get to the bottom of this ourselves.
Okay, so that was the treasure room. So is this... I guess that's where we're headed? That's really weird. Tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm actually gonna make this a save room. We'll do the story room, but then that's where we're probably gonna call it for the day.
Yeah. Ha. Yeah. Yeah. Ha. 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 Ha.
What's up, Ariel? There she is. Oh, this is all my fault. I wish I had never taken Daddy's trident. I should have known things would turn out this way. She did take it.
Pipe down, somebody's coming.
No need to worry, child. You did the right thing. Why, I'm sure you'd do anything in the world to help your little friend. Poor Flounder has been swept away to the human world. No place for a little fish. Why, if we don't hurry, we might not have a friend to save.
No.
Besides, you're not giving me the trident here, just letting me borrow it for a bit. You could say, Flounder, lend me the trident and I'll help you.
I know, but Daddy needs the trident to defend Atlantica. I need time to think.
Well, it's all the same to me. Just remember, your little friend is dodging fishhooks while you twiddle your fins. Well, you can come see me once you've made up your mind.
This game should be called Kingdom Hearts Remanipulation. What am I going to do? Don't trust her, that's for sure. How long have you been listening? Oh, long enough. It doesn't matter. Sora's right. Don't trust that sea witch. She's up to no good. You can see it in her face. Then we all agree. The problem is, I don't have any idea where Flounder is. And she's the only one who can help. What about us? Come on. Let's go talk to her. You shouldn't have to do this by yourself. Really? You'll come with me? You bet. I know how it feels to have friends in trouble. Let's get going. Wait, where are we? Why did it shunt us back there? No, 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 no. I just went through the wrong door. Please don't. Because if you go up a floor and you go back into a world, it erases your progress. Oh, thank goodness everything's still here. That's right, I'd have to reset all the rooms and go through them again. That would be obnoxious game design. Surely Kingdom Hearts would never do that. So, well, all right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Let Us Play. I've been your host, Father Evan. Join us again tomorrow as we play more Roller Coaster Tycoon for Retro Tuesday and more Spiritfarer on Thursday for Spirituality Thursday. Heads up on that, I am going to start putting a content warning on it. I realized, it's a game about death. There's probably some emotionally heavy stuff to come. I understand. I don't know the story. Haven't personally vetted it, but from what I understand, from what I've read and what I've heard, is it does handle heavy topics well in the end, but they're still heavy topics. So, but just, wanted to put out a fair warning, because if that's not something you want to be a part of, that's okay. But yeah, and then next week, like I said, I won't be streaming because I'm on vacation, so that'll be fun. But I'm looking forward to getting back the week after with more Kingdom Hearts and Roller Coaster Tycoon and Spiritfarer. So I'll see y'all tomorrow. Life contains some heavy content, exactly. And I never got a content warning when I was born. But no, content warnings are, in all honesty, are good things. But so, if it's not what you want to watch, you don't have to. So, but I hope everyone has a great rest of their day and take care and God bless.